first person of Satan's Trinity rises up. He's the Antichrist, or the beast out of the sea. Notice he has 10 horns, and God's base number is 12. You ever wonder why?
Spread out, but thank you.
You ever wonder why it's not 1 teen, 2 teen, 3 teen, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19?
Yes.
You ever wonder why?
Yes.
Because it started out as the base 12. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then 1 teen, 2 teen, 3 teen, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 10 teen, 11 teen, 12 teen, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 2010, 2011, 2012, 30. That's the way it used to be. But we still got the remnant of it in the 11, 12, 10, 11, and 12. We still got the remnant of it. Okay? And the world is constantly pressuring us to go to the centimeter, millimeter, 10 base number so that everything will be uniform. Every time we give up something, we lose something. And, if you buy a dozen eggs over in Europe, how many are in the carton?
10.
10.
That's a git.
If you buy a dozen donuts,
That's a really git.
or a box
That
of
is.
donuts, there's 10. There's not 12. Spiritually, it's, we've pushed God out of school, we've pushed God out of the government, we've pushed God out of this, we've pushed God out of that. And every time we make these little adjustments and go with the world, like our number system, we lose something in the contract, and we're just pushing God a little farther away and a little farther away.
Kind of like daylight savings time? Kind of like daylight savings time?
Not daylight savings, well, I don't know how that translates.
I know.
But in God's system,
We've given
there's
up
12 months, 12 eggs in a dozen, 12 inches in a foot, 12 months in a year. God's number is 12. And that's the way he set it up in the beginning. And we see the remnant of it in that 11 and 12 thing. And then we go to 3 teen, 14. Originally it would have been 10 teen, 11 teen, 12 teen, 20. And we just started over. So when we see the 10 here, we know it comes from the world, it doesn't come from God. And we can start suspecting that something's not right on the home team.
You just answered a question for me that I never knew. I had a building trades teacher in high school, and some of the guys in class, I remember asking him, how did we come up with a foot of measurement? Who determined 1 foot was 12 inches and not 15? And he stood up there and he goes, well, I know the answer to that, but I cannot tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. Because it would have brought God into it.
No.
Okay, 9 and 10.
He who has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to go into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints.
What does that mean?
I think it means there's a plan, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
You're exactly right.
If you're chosen, God's going to give you the strength and the fortitude to do it.
Beautiful answer. That's a perfect answer. There is a plan. There is a plan, and it's under control. And sometimes we look at it and we say, why aren't you doing something? Why are all these kids being abused? Why don't you take care of this guy that's constantly harassing me about it? where are you when we pray? Don't we sometimes pray like that? Where are you? Why weren't you there? He was there. He was building your strength, and he was building your endurance, and he was building your patience, and he was keeping track of what this guy's owed in the end, and that guy in the end is going to get paid. But at some point in time, you know, it becomes a lot clearer if you put the two together and look at the last. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness. What's faithfulness? Believing it's going to happen before it's happened yet. Seeing the end result before I realize the end result. Well, God's going to get him, but I wish he'd get him a little quicker.
Yeah, amen.
People ever get on your nerves?
What you looking for? You know who I work with?
Let me give you an
I'm just
example.
kidding, she's my sister, I can say that.
Let me give you an example. This morning was an Italian casserole with Alfredo sauce and mozzarella cheese. And when the people upstairs come down and sneak down here on the break and eat some of it, they're going to start telling you that the potatoes weren't done. The potatoes were al dente. So you can tell them that. The potatoes, which is Italian for not quite done. But, you know, but
I was getting ready to ask what that meant.
what they do, yeah. It means the pasta still has a chew to it or a bite to it. It's not soft and
I
mushy.
like that.
Okay, so if somebody says something about the potatoes not being quite done this morning, say, well, that was Italian. Those were al dente. Okay?
I like it.
But doesn't that happen all the time? Somebody will, my wife will pull up, and I've just weeded the garden, there's not one weed in the garden anywhere, and she'll pull up and she'll walk down through the garden, and underneath one pepper plant, she'll find one little horse weed that's 1.5 inches tall, and she'll reach down and pull it up and walk over and hand it to me, and go back up to the house. There's 10,000 weeds are missing, and she can only see the one that I missed.
I know somebody like that.
You know it?
You don't even have a garden.
No, but I bush hogged for 2 days, and I said, how's it look? You go, well, you're getting there. Just out there, pouring sweat, pouring on things.
You know, and I'm standing there, and she's walking away, and I'm saying, man, Barbara, ever been there? Twice a day, right? Okay, so, but this is all under total control. It said, he who is to go and he who is to be killed, if it's ordained that this will happen, that will happen. And it will happen because it's ordained. Perfect. Great. Your day.
I can just go home and take a nap. I've done my
Okay, let's read, well, let's read 9 through 17, or 11 through 17.
Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, but he spoke like a dragon. He exercised all the authority of the first beast on his behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. And he performed great and miraculous signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in full view of men. Because of the signs he was given power to do on behalf of the first beast, he deceived the inhabitants of the earth. He ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. He was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that it could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Okay. This guy has 2 horns. What's a horn represent? The first guy had 10 horns and reduced them to 7. And I think it's not clear,
Nations are
and I've never read it in a in a commentary, but it seems to me like he reduced it to 7 to try and make it look righteous. To my, kind of, people who are into numerology would say, oh, 7, it must be from God. Not always. It started out as 10, remember. The foundation was laid with 10, which is the foundation of the world. And then it goes to 7. How many of you guys were around when the casino came to French Lick? Do you remember in the newspaper how they described what was going to happen? It's going to redeem our economy.
Yeah.
It's going to be the salvation. It's going to
Bring so many jobs.
Yeah, it's what?
It's gonna bring so many jobs, it's gonna save
Right,
everything.
but they used a lot of religious terms to describe what it was going to do, and they tried to make it holy. It was going to redeem our economy. It was going to, it's going to save our people. It's going to restore the original glory of French Lick. Remember, go back and look at some of those newspaper articles. It sounded like a preacher was preaching a sermon. Jerry wasn't. Now he's dead. But, have you ever noticed that all the people that brought that hoax upon this, that almost all of them are dead now? Jack Carnes is dead. Gary Denbo's dead. I can go on and on and on. And I opposed it, and I'm still here. So, no.
Gone too far.
I'm kidding. But they are dead. And a lot of them died early and young. And a lot of them died strange deaths. Odd situations. You gotta wonder sometimes if God doesn't pay us a little early. And he can do that. Okay, this guy had 2 horns. Now, horn stands for what?
Announcement.
Huh?
Announcement.
Okay. Trumpet can be used for announcement. But these horns are...
Wrong kind of horns.
No, I know that, but I thought it was like a,
Yeah, they blow the trumpet to make an announcement.
Like-
Shofar.
Horns could be
why do you
like,
think I sit back?
The
and-
horns will be...
like, the horns could be like in charge, like, like the buck is in charge.
Yeah,
everywhere they
and
go.
it stands for his authority
Yeah, that's what I mean.
over the herd or
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the other
in charge.
bucks. He's got bigger horns, so he's the chief buck.
Yeah.
The first guy has 10 sources of authority backing him, and it's going to be 10 nations out of the communist bloc, out of the European bloc, and out of the Far East bloc. The leopard, the bear, and the leopard, the bear, and the what?
Eagle?
Lion.
Eagle?
Eagle, lion.
Eagle. No, not eagle.
Lion.
Leopard?
The lion.
Lion, which was England and France, and all their shields have the lion on them. So it's the European bloc and the Russian, Croatia, and Georgia, all those, and then the Far East, Palestine, and all that. Okay, so this guy's got 2 horns. What do these 2 horns represent? Where does this power come from? Well, it says one of them comes from the beast, who is the Antichrist, and the other one comes from who?
The dragon.
The dragon. Satan himself. Now this guy, the first guy is a political leader. The second guy is what?
Religious?
Huh?
Religious.
A religious leader. He's a religious.
So would this be like, this is like the spirit in the false trinity that he's setting up?
Yes.
Is this guy like
This would be like the spirit, and the Antichrist would be like Jesus. Now, we're not going to be able to fit these into God's holy trinity because this is a blasphemous trinity. But he's trying for 3. And if you compare the two, they're not gonna match up just exactly, but I think you're right. This is more like the spirit, and the beast was, the Antichrist is more like Jesus. Okay. And Jesus was wounded, and the Antichrist is wounded. Jesus was resurrected, the Antichrist, after 3 days, woke up and got back in business. And everybody said, "Oh wow, he rose from the dead." It'll look, and the false prophet. This guy's title is false prophet. He'll point to him and say, "He's resurrected. He's resurrected. You need to worship him. You need to worship him." And everybody, a whole bunch of people on earth will do it. They're going to do it.
You know, I noticed that it says, it keeps saying he. So does that, so Hillary Clinton's not in the he part, right? Just saying.
We're not too good
Kinda,
yet.
ask Bill.
It keeps saying he, and his, and his, and his, so it must be a man?
Yeah, but we still have to get to the harlot of Babylon, so
Yeah, she's coming.
hold your question for a couple more chapters, and we'll talk about the harlot of Babylon.
So we got dun dun dun.
Not that Hillary is a harlot,
Per se.
per se.
The
Okay.
person's got the franchise on that.
He exercised all the
Her
authority of
husband
the
has a
first
franchise
beast.
on
The first beast gave him total authority to lead the religious part of this. We've covered the political part of it, we've covered the religious part of it, and next in a couple chapters we're going to cover the social part of it, and that will be the harlot of Babylon.
Is it true that there is a ruler in Israel that's trying to get everyone to take and get a barcode on them? Is that kind of relevant to this?
Yeah, it's going to be, yes. I think at this point in time, it's not a religious thing. They're talking about a physical thing, you know. If my kid had that chip in his forehead or in his hand and somebody kidnapped him, all we'd have to do is type in that number and tell us exactly where he was. And wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to worry about your kids being kidnapped anymore? And if I had that chip, I wouldn't have to carry around charge cards and nobody could scan my wallet, and it would pretty much wipe out identity theft. Because if they wanted to use your identity, they'd have to have your hand or they'd have to have your forehead. And nobody's going to sell you anything. If you walk in with my hand and lay it on the counter, they're going to say, "Whoa, what's wrong with this picture?"
No, but they can take your hand, take the chip out, and put the chip in theirs.
They could do that.
As I said, there's no such thing as perfect.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody who's going to think of something.
I'm just telling you the logic they're going to lay on us. This is the argument for it. Oh, if your kid just had a chip, they couldn't kidnap him anymore. If you just had the chip, people couldn't steal your identity.
Yeah, if they pass the yard, they just zap them like.
And kind of a chill went up my spine yesterday when I got,
You know, when they misbehave and they're not home on time.
about a month ago, I got my new Cabela's card, my new Cabela's charge card. And because my old one was going to expire this month. And so then yesterday, I went to the post office and I got my new Cabela's charge card again. And the first thing I thought was, oh man, somebody hacked my account. And they had to issue all new numbers and this and that. Yeah. No, the new one has the chip on it. Now, that's the technology. That's not, at this point in time, that's not divorcing God and being unfaithful to God, but that is a technology. Now, when they come along and say, you got to have it in your hand or your forehead, and you don't have a choice, then I'm choosing between the world and I'm choosing between God. The groundwork is being laid, and all the technology is there, and at 3.5 years into this, he's going to say, You have to have it or you can't buy and sell. When that day comes, you need to recognize it and you need to say no, and you need to be prepared for that. We're not going to go into that this morning because it's very important and everybody needs to hear it. And I don't want to preach that sermon twice. So we're going to reserve the barcode for next week.
Just
and
tell them to watch the video.
What?
Just tell them to watch the video.
Yeah, I do. But,
Twice if they have to.
Hayden's been watching it.
huh?
Hayden's been watching your videos.
Oh, has he liked it?
Real
Oh,
well.
well, they're starting to do Revelation, and I'm wondering how
Yeah.
their
Well, they're
revelation,
trying, I
our
don't know.
revelation is going.
I think it's,
They're passing.
I think they'd like to come and listen to you.
Okay, well,
Why?
They should, I didn't think about that, but they should.
So the second guy is a whole separate guy.
he's a whole separate guy. He's a religious leader, and
Can you
he
edit
would
that
be
part where I
like
made that dumb thing?
he would be like the
Can you
Pope,
edit that?
or
The Pope.
and his job is going to
Just
be
go up
to
behind him
pull
and clip his ears.
everybody into one form of worship, to combine all the religions of the world and get rid of all the controversy and the diversity and all the struggle. And we've kind of set the pace for that. A lot of it's our fault. There are 39 different denominations of Baptists. 39. There may be 40 since I read that 10 years ago. There may be 42. You can stand in French Lick and almost throw a baseball and hit 3 Methodist churches. There was 9 Christian churches in my delivery area when I was postmaster. There was 13 Methodist churches. And some of them were a mile apart. Why can't they get along and sit down in the same building? Why, why can't the Baptists and the Methodists and the Pentecostals and the Nazarene all get together? We focus on our own little corner, and we don't want to share it with anybody else. What's the major emphasis for Catholics?
Hail Mary.
Communion.
Communion. Okay. What's a major emphasis for Baptists?
Baptized.
Baptism. What's a major emphasis for Nazarenes?
Eating.
Sanctification.
Nazarites.
Sanctification. And, once a month you'll hear a sermon on sanctification, sanctification, sanctification. There's nothing wrong with any of those. We need them all. What's a major emphasis for Methodists?
Food.
Potluck dinners.
Soup, which is right, social doctrine. The Salvation Army was begun by Methodists. And they have the soup kitchens, and they feed the homeless people, and they have the homeless shelters. And they're the first one to show up at a catastrophe with their mobile kitchens and what. It's not the Red Cross, by the way. And don't get me started.
Don't get him started. Can't even look at a Red Cross anymore.
We'll be here a while. You'll not even have to worry about church. You can't find a veteran anywhere who has anything good to say about the Red Cross. But don't get me started. But, there's nothing wrong with the social gospels. There's nothing wrong with feeding the hungry. But we also need the sanctification, and we also need the communion, and we also need the other stuff. And wouldn't it be nice if we could all get together and the charismatics could lead the singing, and the Baptists could do the baptizing, and the Catholics could serve the communion, and the Presbyterians could preach the doctrine, which they're very, very good at, but they don't have any of the other stuff. It'd be nice if we could just combine it all and all get together and have one church. And well, if we had done that, there would be a mighty force against Satan right now. But he split us all up into all these little splinters, and then he split the splinters up into a bunch of little splinters. And we got all these different, there's 5 or 6 different kind of Methodist churches. There's a Wesleyan Methodist, and there's this Methodist and that Methodist. 39 different Baptist denominations. And we allowed him to divide us and to conquer us because we don't have the authority and the power that we should have because we can't get along with each other. You're really kind of an amazing bunch of people. You usually can't get 20 people together in one room and not have a fight. Believe me, I've been a minister, I know.
But these people, the one church, the one religion they're talking about includes Muslim and it's not
Satanists
just, it's
and
not just
witchcraft.
all
and-
Christians together.
No. No, it's not all Christians. They're going to allow the Christians in, but there's also going to be voodoo and witchcraft and Buddhists and Shintos and Hindus, and we're all going to share a common bond.
I have some friends, real close friends from high school and stuff they're still in the witchcraft, the voodoo, the whole thing.
How's their life going?
Miserable for them, but those, as far as not being judgmental and willing to help somebody, they're some of the most interesting people I've ever met to be like that. And I've told them, I said, you guys were Christians, and what you could accomplish with the way you are would be amazing.
It gets to work.
And I'm still friends with these people. You know, I mean, I don't
Okay.
shut them out because of it, but
I have to be honest, we went to the yard sale the other day, and there was a voodoo doll sitting on the table. And I don't believe in voodoo, but it was Hillary Clinton's voodoo doll. And I swear, I almost paid the $10 to buy this Hillary Clinton voodoo doll because it's Hillary Clinton. But it's voodoo, and I don't believe in that, so I walked past it 4 or 5 times and thought,
Were you wanting to start a bonfire? Or
oh, I was like, here, everyone gets to turn, here's a needle.
Okay.
But I didn't buy it, so.
Notice what this religious leader is going to do. He's going to perform miracles. There's going to be great signs. He's going to form a statue of the beast, and he's going to say, "Worship the statue, worship the beast." And the statue is going to have breath, and it's going to be able to speak, and people are going to worship it. Now, think about what Jesus always did. People would ask him a question about holiness, and he'd say, "Look at the Father, look at the Father." What's this guy doing? He's saying, "Look at the beast, look at the beast. Look at the statue, look at the statue." He is trying to mimic Jesus Christ and become a counterfeit for him. We'll pick us up again next week, and then next week we're going to spend most of the week on the barcode and what we're going to need to do to prepare for this 3.5-year event. There are things you need to
Oh, good.
do in order to be ready. Unless you get raptured out first. And,
Unless you get what? Get raptured first.